So you did it dumb.
Expectations.
Practical application.
Everybody does it.
Letting go.
We have to apply this.
We all have this self-talk running through our mind.
We'll get attached to a specific outcome.
Don't ever put them to use.
Well, that turns into, wow, you're so stupid. Me?
Welcome to another episode of Truth Be Told. So this whole month, it's been a blast. It's November. It's our 1 year anniversary. So for the month following the first week of the summit, we have been replaying some of our oldies but goodies. A lot of our stuff from the past, kind of things that we wanted to see like how far we've come. We wanted to showcase some of them that we thought were kind of funny. And it's just been a lot of fun. So tonight we're doing the same thing again. It's Mystery Science 3001, Mystery Religious Science Theater 3001. So we're going to play a couple episodes. We're going to have a little bit of commentary on them. And we're just looking forward to this whole next year. We're going to start putting out some new content soon. We've got this whole month of the expressions of the light coming up for December. So that's a lot to know about. We'll tell you all about that later. Other than that, let's see where these episodes take us. A blast from the past. So sit back, enjoy, Truth Be Told.
Keeping it real with Ernest Holmes.
Keeping it real.
Maybe I should say making it real, because that's really what we're here to do. It's our job to do this. Now, this is the end. It's the final week of the Roots There It Is. And my job has been to come up with practical application from each of these teachers. So my application today on this episode for Ernest Holmes, the application is application. We have to apply this. That's the important thing. All these teachings.
I think that's the first time I ever heard somebody say that.
But sometimes we get trapped in a process of collecting all these rituals or spiritual practices.
Collectors.
And don't ever put them to use.
Been there.
Or we do it sporadically without intense focus. So that's my thing right now. I'm going to read from The Science of Mind. I think this might be the most profound page in there.
He's getting ready to preach it.
Page 423. This is Ernest Holmes right here in his own
Bring
words.
In the Ernie.
Final
Can I get an amen?
In conclusion, what the world needs is spiritual conviction, followed by spiritual experience. That's it right there, spiritual experience. I would rather see a student of this science prove its principle than to have them repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. It is far easier to teach the truth than it is to practice it. But the practice of truth is personal to each, and in the long run, no one can live our life for us. To each is given what they need, and the gifts of heaven come alike to all. How we shall use these gifts is all that matters. To hold one's thought steadfastly to the constructive, so that which endures, and to the truth, may not be easy in a rapidly changing world, but to the one who makes this attempt, much is guaranteed. There's your personal incentive. In the final paragraph, the essence of spiritual mind healing and of all true religious philosophy is an inner realization of the presence of perfection within and around about. It is the hope of heaven, the voice of God proclaiming, I am that which thou art. Thou art that which I am. So
I feel like I'm on the edge of my seat.
We have to put this into application. So real quick recap. The first week we did Emerson. We did the practice of a barrage of gratitude. This is to lift you up when you're feeling down, or to keep you up when everything's going well. This is where you go in, you take a breath, you kind of just shift your awareness and consciousness a little bit, and then flood your mind with gratitude for all the things you can think of, all the people, all the animals, all the seemingly little things that are actually pretty amazing. And that's a good shift for you. The second week, we did Judge Thomas Troward, and what we talked about here is becoming specific on what it is that you're creating in this world, what you're going to manifest. Write it out. Writing it out triggers something in your subconscious, it triggers something in the energy of all that is, and it helps you become crystal clear on what it is exactly you want to bring into this world. And then last week, the third week of Emma Curtis Hopkins, we did countering what we take in, keeping that balance. So as you are sometimes bombarded in this world with negative, fearful information, or if you find yourself having animosity, thoughts of ill will towards another, regrets, resentments, if you find yourself taking in any of those things, counterbalance them with the opposite. If you take in the bad news, take in some good news. If you find yourself with those resentful thoughts, do the barrage of gratitude. That's a great way to balance it. All these practices, I promise you, if you put them to use in your life, you will see something shift. It's a powerful practice, but we have to apply it. So, application. Ernest Holmes, thank you for all your teachings. Thank you to the roots that made all those teachings possible. And thank you to everybody out there in the world making the world a better place. It comes from taking action, and you right now watching this video is part of that action. So thank you. Keep it up, and have a better day, make the world a better place, and just enjoy the ride.
Love that sign off. Yeah.
Enjoy the ride.
I can't believe that would have been like the first time that somebody had ever said that, or the first time I'd ever heard that. It seems so simple and so obvious, but like, oh yeah, duh. Application is the application. I mean, it is, yeah. Like, how often have we heard about practical application of, whatever, new thought teachings of science of mind? How do we do this? It's like, you do it by doing it. Like, it is what you do.
It's sort of like a 15-step plan on how to apply it. It's like, yeah.
I was thinking, I had those tools and recognized times in my life when I'm just was just struggling, and then like after allowing myself to struggle and wallow for a day, like, oh wait, like I remember I learned something to do like in this perfect time. Why aren't I doing that? And then you do it, and everything seems to do that shift, and like,
right. It's kind of like when you take a look at the bookshelf and see all the books that you've read and go, oh yeah. I studied this. I read about this exact thing. Yeah. I love that. I can totally relate to that idea of collecting, like collecting workshops I've taken, collecting classes I've taken, books I've read. But like, those things are great when you do them, but you actually have to do them.
And sometimes I get this idea, like I have to have everything all like ordered in my mind to get it exactly right, then I can apply it. Instead of just doing it. And, sometimes you may trip and fall and stumble or think, but just actually doing it. We don't have to have this sort of perfect presentation like we're doing a dissertation and then we can do it. It's like just living it, breathing it, doing it, making a mistake, learning, continuing on. It's just this whole process, but we actually have to start it in order to actually kind of enjoy reap the benefits, I should say.
And what's super interesting about this is the second time that we've had this, like, this is a replay of this video, and we're still like, that's such a good reminder. The application is like, right. Yeah, we were that surprised the first time.
Yep.
Got it.
Starting to set in.
Yeah, maybe by like
10
next
years
year's
from now,
replay, when we do this a third time, maybe we'll get it by then. That'll be good.
Maybe
we'll see.
So the tool of the week. So we've been talking about expectations and how sometimes we can get so wrapped up in expectations that we kind of miss everything that's around us. So the tool for the week is letting go. This seems letting go a very simple thing, but in reality, it's really hard sometimes in our lives just to let go and to allow things to be as they are, and not get so
magic
wrapped up in
happens
what
when
we
you can
think
let
they
go.
should be or get attached to a specific outcome. So for an example of this, and I'll tell you a little story from my own life. Now I have a lot of pretty cool qualities, but
Yeah, that's
being
true.
able to be in
stand
an
by that.
airplane and be okay is not one of them. So for some reason, I agreed for a friend for her birthday to go skydiving. Now I have no idea why I agreed to this. For one, I'm afraid of heights.
The one that doesn't
And
even
two,
like to fly.
I definitely don't
Yeah,
like to
for
be in a
real.
plane.
Or I shouldn't say doesn't like to. The one that's
Anyway,
terrified of flying.
Fast forward, and there I am.
No, it's the easiest way out of a plane.
Strapped to a stranger,
Like flying, just
getting
jump.
ready to jump out at 14,000 feet.
It was a crazy day.
So they had decided I probably shouldn't be the last one to jump out, because if I was the last one, I definitely wouldn't jump out. And so I was like the third to go.
They have to
And I
push you.
remember holding on so tightly to the edge of the plane. That was open, and then we were supposed to do a backflip off the back. And I held on so tightly. I mean, my knuckles were white. I was holding on so tightly, just resisting this experience of letting go, because I was afraid of what would happen.
Some tears were shed.
But I did. I let go, and let me tell you, it was an amazing experience. Not one that I'll ever do again.
That's
But in
also
the moment, I experienced the beauty of this earth from 14,000 feet
That's gotta be pretty cool.
without the walls of the plane. And it was just amazing, peaceful experience.
Sort of.
One that I felt just connection with everything. It was just absolutely amazing. But
I
could
removed
only
all the icky
experience
parts of that
when I let go.
Nice.
When I let go of my fear, when I let go of what might happen, when I let go of all these expectations or all these stories that I had created about
death.
what may happen or what I wanted to happen.
No
And in
biggie.
that letting go, I was able to experience this amazing beauty. And so that's the way it is in our life. Sometimes we have these situations where we get very attached to an outcome, and we're so hyper-focused on this outcome that we don't see what's around us. And so the tool is, and the invitation this week is just to practice letting go. And we all have these areas in our lives, these areas of stronghold, these areas where we're gripping so tightly to. And you know your area, and I definitely know mine. So the tool of the week is just to practice. Practice letting go. Practice allowing to be what is. And not really getting too caught up in the outcome or the end destination. Because life and the spiritual path, it's not about the end destination. And so we shouldn't get too caught up in that. But it's about the experience. It's the day-by-day experience. It's the journey. So the tool for the week, letting go.
Sounds so cliche, but it's so true.
Easy peasy. Letting
Easy, no big deal.
Where's my screwdriver? Oh, here it is.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I wish it was that easy, right? To just be like, oh yeah, I'll just, let go without any expectations and no big deal.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Well, for me, I don't know. I tend to think that living life with a death grip is the way to go, but I know that that is not true. But I live my life sometimes as if that is the case. But yeah, it does seem very cliche to say just letting go. And I was interested. I was writing something today about letting go and how for me it's so hard to do that because I think I'm going to lose out on something or I'm going to miss whatever I'm letting go of. But in essence, letting go, you actually gain. You gain this newfound freedom. You gain this expansion where like other stuff can come rushing in. And so some of those things can't squeeze in if we're holding on so tightly to the things that don't serve us. And so I know letting go in spiritual communities is a kind of a cliche, but it is really true. We're able to do that and let go of that grip and the things that we couldn't see because we have our head down holding on to things.
Right.
Can really come into our life.
Well, that's kind of interesting because the example in the video, I mean, to make the point was such an extreme example. But what's interesting about that is the exact same thing is true for like those tiny like day-to-day things too, right? The things that we almost don't realize we're hanging on to, that it takes that moment of pausing and reflecting to see, oh wow, I'm really holding on to these details of how this is going to go. And that kind of, we've talked about expectation before, right? Like these two are, connected at the hip.
Right.
But it plays out that same way in those daily tiny details too, like letting go on those things opens up this whole other experience. And so it's interesting. I think that's a really common experience in like New Thought life of doing a thing because, we do this because we want this, but in doing that, we actually create the opposite of the thing we want.
Right.
And so to do the thing, to have the experience we want, we actually have to do the opposite of the thing that we have come to learn we think we need to do.
Right.
So control does not give us the experience we want. The absence, letting go of control is what gives us that thing, which is much like application being the application. Is a daily reminder, please.
Yeah. For me, it's so much, holding on to what I think the outcome's got to be that I never let myself start because I'm like, okay, so to make it like that, it's going to have to go like this and go like that. And just let go, jump in, make mistakes, screw up a couple times. That's how, that's the fun and the excitement of everything, as opposed to like sitting on the sidelines all the time. Like, if it doesn't look like this when I'm all done, then I did it wrong, and I don't want to do it wrong. So I got to keep acquiring more skills and more workshops. Going back to the application again. Yeah.
And I totally relate to that because I will attest that the just dive in and do it technique. It doesn't always make life easy, but I would never want to go back to trying to either control everything or not do it if I felt like I couldn't control it.
That's how this started. We're like, let's just do it. And, we'd spent like a year trying to make it like perfect before we started. And then we're like, let's just start it and see what happens, and I think that, and just look at, what we have now is, it wasn't even in the realm of some of the things that we thought it was going to be, which is great.
And what's interesting is it takes a lot of work, right? Like I said, like it's not always easy. Just jump in and do it, which is really not just jumping in and do it. We like did so much work, but it feels like just letting go and jumping in.
Right.
And even though it's not easy, I think it's way easier than that thing that I was accustomed to in trying to control everything. Trying to control everything was way harder than
exhausting.
Yeah, it was exhausting all the time, mentally, physically, just exhausting. And so while this might not be easy, it's certainly easier than the alternative.
And you can feel it too. Like when I feel like there's something I've been holding on to and I let go of it, I can feel the expansion even in my physical body of being able to breathe. And so we want more of that.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yes. So we are definitely not done yet. Much more to come. And tonight we actually have a surprise bonus video. Bonus video at the end before we're done. A fourth video when we usually have three. But this is just the time we want to take to thank you for playing with us, for being here and watching, and to let you know of the multitude of ways that we have for you to either engage in this community if you're new, or to continuously just jump in and do more things if you're looking for more things to do, if this is not your first time. But first, I have to mention that this evening we are starting a month-long celebration. So many religions and cultures have a celebration this time of year, and Science of Mind, leaning towards being a philosophy rather than a religion, does not have any holidays of its own. So we thought it would be fun to, instead of trying to borrow pieces from other religions, that we would create our own event for this time of year that we could celebrate specifically as those who study Science of Mind. So we have created celebrating 31 expressions of light, and it is one expression of light per day for the whole month of December. We have adopted the sunset to sunset kind of model. So tonight is night 1. We will be live at 8:31 because 31 days. I thought it was a little fun. 8:31 every night. Starting this evening, we'll be live with a very brief little kind of reading, candle lighting, prayer, explanation, little live video talking about the word of the day that we will celebrate for the next 24 hours, and a usually fun activity for the next day for anyone who is participating that will engage us with each other, engage us with our spiritual practices, and with engaging with this expression of light that is the word for that day. So that starts today, 8:31 Eastern Time. More info about that on our website. If you're interested, you can sign up for daily emails on that, or you can just tune in live on our Facebook or YouTube page. It's totally free. No expectations. Engage however you want. On top of that, we also have our usual plethora of opportunities you can check out on our website. We have gatherings regularly throughout the week. We have video series where you can go and educate yourself to your heart's content on our website, and we're always attempting to add more to that. And of course, there's always Tuesday nights. So we are more than thrilled. The best way that you can support what we are doing, what this community is doing, is simply just by showing up and engaging. So we are certainly grateful to have you do that in whatever way works best for you. But do check out tonight.
And now it's time for So You Did It Dumb.
So you did it dumb. Congratulations. We all do.
Shout out to Nikki.
What am I talking about? You might be asking, what is a dumb?
I did that just yesterday.
Everybody does a dumb
Again.
on a regular basis. It's something we think, man, I'm so dumb. I did this thing. It was so stupid. Everybody does it all the time, and we're so hard on ourselves.
Man, that was dumb.
So you did a dumb is a thing that I came up with my son. It's actually something
he still calls me out on it too.
We were talking about how easy it is to talk so bad to ourselves about things that we have done. I'm sure he was playing video games or something and was getting really angry at himself for not doing so well. And clearly, as a dad, I had to step in and say something. So we started talking about it. And what he found out, is that we all have this self-talk running through our mind so often.
I think that's one of the hardest things
about being directed
parent.
Inward. It is directed
trying how to bring that
this guy.
up.
Everything
how do you bring that up
I have running through my mind is directed at me. So
Mm-hmm.
when I say, man,
and how do you live it yourself?
Stupid,
yeah.
Well, that turns into, wow, you're so stupid, me.
Exactly. Trying to teach lessons that I'm still learning.
What we have come up with is, so you did it dumb, is this little tool
They
that
can
we
be
like
good
to use
teachers
at home that
back at
when
us.
something happens
Yeah.
where we would normally blame ourselves for doing something stupid, we can now say, ah, man, I did a dumb. Which means
Did it dumb.
I'm not dumb. Doing that thing was dumb. Now, that might sound like a really tiny nuance, but it makes all the difference because all of a sudden it changes our self-talk from me being dumb to that action being dumb. I am no longer dumb. I'm not
Much
dumb
different.
for stubbing my toe. Everybody stubs their toe, right?
And it's
How often have
actually
you
kind of
stubbed
makes
your
it
toe?
fun. Like,
And wow,
have your
we
kid
do
call
that
you
thing
out.
where we try not
Like,
to curse out
no,
loud,
you're
but
not
it hurts
dumb.
so
You did
bad.
it dumb. I'm like, oh yeah.
We all have
oh,
this
you're right.
voice in our head,
Thanks.
and so many of us go back to playing that tape from when we were kids, where we internalized everything and blamed
Learned to
ourselves
stop,
for it. So what does this have
following
to do
that
with
up
today's
and a long time
topic?
ago, and
Well, we're
makes it
talking
more
about
noticeable
the
when
thing
others
itself,
do it.
right? The thing that is everything, everywhere. It's
Painful.
what always has been and what always will be. Well, that is also in our words. We have this creative power in every word we speak, whether it's out loud or in our head. So if we're calling ourselves dumb, at whatever level you believe this works, if we are calling ourselves dumb, we are actually reinforcing an idea in our mind that we are dumb. So if we are continuously using that self-talk, we're actually creating a situation where we
think that's
believe
one of
we're
the
dumb.
coolest things about
So,
science of mind.
We need to interrupt this.
It
and
literally
that is exactly
it plays
what
out
So
at
You Did It Dumb is.
every
It is a way to
level.
interrupt
Like
that
no matter what
self-talk.
level you believe it to
So
work.
this week, pay attention to
That's
your
the way it
self-talk.
works.
Where are you telling yourself
As you believe.
inadvertently, I am dumb, or I am this, or I am that. Anything that you put after I am is what your brain will believe that you are. So instead of being dumb or thinking we're dumb,
I am
you
smart.
did a dumb.
I
You are not
am
dumb.
amazing.
That thing you did.
I am so
So
good
you
looking.
did a dumb.
That's true, especially with that stash, man.
I love the stash.
Whoa.
Whoa. Getting ahead of ourselves there. Hold on.
Back it up. Back it up.
There was no outro for that video. I was expecting an outro thing to come on. It didn't come on. Yeah, I honestly, I think we don't talk about enough that idea of, I mean, Ernest Holmes, the founder, the synthesizer of the writings that have formulated science of mind, right? Talks all the time about the laws of the universe are available to you to the degree that you believe in them.
Yep.
And so, like, there's that infamous paragraph. I think it's page like 52 or whatever in the Science of Mind book, right? But it's like, this thing works, except when you think that it doesn't work. But then it works by not working because you believe it doesn't work. So then that's how it worked, right? It's like, there's like that tongue twister version of that, but it's like, yeah, that's seriously. And not only does it work all the time, whether we believe it is or not, and it works in the way that we believe that it works. So if we believe it works for us. If we believe it doesn't work, it
works for us.
It works for us by it's showing up like it's working, not like it's not working. But I think there's also this level of I'm not sure what the word for it is, but the way that like I convinced myself in the beginning to go from being a very like, you need to prove it to me, to like oh wow, I feel this like in my core of my being, was convincing myself through like, there's like different degrees of like, if you think this works because you show up like a nicer person and so people respond to you differently, like that's it working. That is one of right. If you think it works because you're just changing your mental talk and so you're hearing a different recording, like that's another way, right? If you think it works because you're actually shifting your unconscious beliefs, well, that's like another way. If you think it works because your words are changing the experience around you, you're talking different, like there's all these like levels all the way down, all the way up, right down to like this. It works because there's literally power in your word, and that power of your word actually creates like it makes movement in this world that actually attracts energy to it, like molecules start to form around this thing, around this idea, and eventually actually become a thing, right? I kind of wish that somebody had talked about that more when I first found this teaching, that it wasn't something I had to like figure out. And if for no other reason, because I think when we talk to other, like when you first find a teaching like this, you naturally want to tell other people, you want to tell your friends about it.
Right.
But it comes across like we have this tendency to go into this whole like very weird, like the very deep meaning, which is so opposite from like normal life for most people. And I think a lot of times people get weirded out, but like if we could explain it just so like matter of fact, be like, oh yeah, well, if I think differently, I have different thoughts, so I have a different experience, and so I show up differently, so people respond to me differently. And then also I actually get to create a new experience because my thoughts are changed. Like, oh, that sounds really cool. Rather than being like, oh, well, there's like this consciousness thing and it moves energy in the world. And, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, because it really is not that hard. It's very simple.
Yeah.
I love that pragmatic way. It's like, like you said, there's so many different levels. But yeah, when you can see tangibly like how this actually changes things around you, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Is it me?
It's you, yeah.
I didn't know if you're going to play the final video or if it's me.
Yeah, you can like close this out. Well, it'll be a little bonus afterwards. How about that?
We promise we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We promise we know what we're doing. Hello. Thank you for joining us. We have like the best job in the world. We get to jump on here and just have some fun and talking about this philosophy that has really changed our life, changed our experience, and we're so excited to be able to do this, like as a job. It's super fun, and so we are always excited to have people to come along with the fun. Come along on this ride, this journey that we're on. If you would like to explore some of this stuff more, Dan talked about a lot of different ways for you to get involved. On Thursday nights, this Thursday night, the gathering is a great way to jump in and get involved. It's an opportunity to delve further into some of the topics we've talked about tonight, to answer questions, just to kind of show up and be with one another, and actually to share our life experiences and how we can learn from one another, because we're all in this life together. And so the Soul Evolution Collaborative is made possible and supported by people just like you. And so if you would like to help financially support this community, you can find the donate button at soulevolutioncollaborative.org, and it will tell you everything you need to know to donate and to join in this ministry. All donations are tax deductible and greatly appreciated. And so to stay up to date, visit soulevolutioncollaborative.org. You can sign up for events. You can sign up for emails. You can sign up for getting inspirational stuff. That is the place to go for all things SEC. And so, like I said, soulevolutioncollaborative.org. Click on over there tonight. Sign up for our 31 expressions of the light. You get a reminder each and every night, and have a little fun with us in December. So some of you, we will see Thursday night for the gathering, and everyone else, we'll see you next week.
You might be a religious scientist if you've ever manifested a parking space.
You might be a religious scientist if you've ever said namaste to someone and had no idea what it meant.
You might be a religious scientist if you've ever shown up to church on Sunday wearing sandals while you're also wearing socks.
You might be a religious scientist if you've ever said namaste to someone and knew what it meant.
You might be a religious scientist if you can give an elevator pitch about the science of mind.
You might be a religious scientist if you've ever brought a vegan dish to a potluck.
You might be a religious scientist if you were tired of hearing about the weather in Zoom meetings.
You might be a religious scientist if you've ever wore convertible plants to church. And yeah, I've done that.
You might be a religious scientist if you have customized license plates that say something about either peace or love.
You might be a religious scientist if you've ever worn goddess wear.
You might be a religious scientist if you've ever seen somebody requesting prayer on Facebook and you immediately put down your phone and went into prayer.
You may be a religious scientist if you've ever said a prayer before making a phone call.
You might be a religious scientist if you've ever visualized throwing a basket, throwing that perfect pitch, hitting that perfect drive in golf, and then actually done it.
You may be a religious scientist if you've ever said a prayer before sending an email.
You might be a religious scientist if you
Said them
check to
after
see if
sending an
there's a
email.
center for spiritual living in whatever city you happen to be visiting.
You might be a religious scientist if you're not afraid of dying.
And you may be a religious scientist if you've ever said, "Who wants to pray us out?" before ending a work Zoom call.
I have also
You might
done
be a
that.
religious scientist if you've ever started a phone call with prayer.
You might be a religious scientist if you've ever hugged every single person that you saw on a Sunday morning.
True.